Hello YouTube, welcome to this video where I'm going to be giving you 5 tips on how to manage your diet if you are an hard gainer, if you struggle to gain weight. Number 1 tip is going to be directly correlated with the title of the video and with a notion that is very present on YouTube Fitness, which is the idea that some people are hard gainers. What would that mean? It would mean that certain individuals have a tougher time putting on muscle. The issue is that most of the time when people talk about that fact or that notion, they speak about diet and they speak about calories. For me, that is not what a hard gainer is. There are going to be certain people who will struggle to put on lean mass because their hormonal profile might not be super beneficial for that goal. That being said, if you believe that you cannot gain size because you require too much calories, you're not thinking about the issue the proper way. Why? Because if you actually did eat enough calories, you would equalize the playing field and you wouldn't be a hard gainer anymore. You would gain weight. There are no person on earth, there is no young male on earth that cannot gain weight. It's just that you might have a metabolism that's too high. You might have a discrepancy between your metabolism and your appetite, which means that you can never match your TDEE and therefore you never gain weight. There are 1,000 reasons. But my first tip will be to rethink that notion of being a hard gainer. Don't let it trap you into believing that you can never become big, because it's not true. It's just going to take you much more efforts on the diet side of things. That's why a lot of people will say that for easy gainers, you should be focusing much more on your training than on your diet because you're going to gain the weight regardless. For hard gainers, it's the other way around. You should be focusing much more efforts on eating enough food so that you can actually feel and feed the workouts. Because if you just train hard and you don't feed yourself, you're doing all of that for nothing because your body has nothing to build muscle with. But now that you've heard that, you should also realize that being a hard gainer or an easy gainer, there's no real difference between the two, meaning that there's not someone who's advantaged. People think that easy gainers are advantaged. In a sense, they might be, but you also have to think about it in the sense that they're going to have a tougher time cutting. If they want to be shredded, it's going to be much tougher. Why? Because they require less calories, and it's the same thing. If your appetite is too high, it's tough to reduce your calories if your body requires food because you're still hungry. So that's tip number 1. Take that hard gainer categorization as an indication of what you should be doing, not as a curse. You're not flawed, it's just the way your body is, and you're going to have to be super diligent with your diet. Number 2, we just spoke about appetite. A thing that is very common with hard gainers and people who struggle to eat enough is that their appetite is A, not super vivacious, and 2, dies super fast. For me, I know that my appetite carries me through meals because it lasts a long time. My body takes a while to send signals to my brain that I'm full and I can stop. I know some people that within 5 or 6 minutes of a meal, they're done. And that is going to be an issue because you need those calories, you need to finish those meals to be able to grow. The worst thing you could be doing is shoving the food in your mouth super quickly because it's going to damage your stomach because you're not chewing the food enough. You should chew the food enough so that the digestion can be done properly, and also because it's going to allow you to actually absorb all of the nutrients. So my trick for that would be have more meals throughout your day. The famous myth of bodybuilders needing 6 meals a day to grow, that's hogwash across the board, but it is true for hard gainers. Why? Because by splitting the meals, you're going to trick your appetite because the meals are going to be consumed very fast and it's going to let your stomach empty itself repeatedly throughout the day so that you can get those calories in. The worst thing you can do as a hard gainer is to eat only once or twice a day. That's what people like me do. I have a very slow metabolism and I have a pretty mild appetite. So I can sometimes have one meal in the day at 210 and maintain that body weight. You will not be able to do that. So you need to be very strict and craft a regimen where you know you're going to have to eat every time, and you are going to have those periods of time where they are dedicated for a meal. That's what you're doing. That's number two. Number three, the types of food you eat is going to matter. The issue that you're going to face is that it's going to become very tempting to start a bulk. Of course, you're going to bulk, but what type of bulk are you going to make? Well, if you do a clean bulk, the issue with a clean bulk is that whole foods fill you up very easily. And therefore, it's going to be tough to get enough calories in because your appetite is going to be satisfied very fast. So, you are going to be tempted to introduce junk food. This is not necessarily a bad thing, all right? But do not do a pure dirty bulk. In my opinion, you should do mostly a clean bulk with whole foods, and then you should complement that with enough calories to grow with foods that are very palatable, have a lot of calories in, and that you really like. But keep in mind that these foods are empty calories. That's the truth with most foods that people call bad foods. There is such a thing as bad foods. A bad food is a food that wields no benefits besides just pushing more calories into your body. That's why people say that cake is bad, for example. What is to be found in cake? This fat and this carbs. That's pretty much that. You're not getting any minerals, you're not getting any vitamins, etc. But you're going to find that because your caloric needs are so large, once you meet your macros and your micros, you're still going to have a lot of room to fill. And that's where you can throw in some items that might not be the best for your health, but that are not going to kill you either, and that are going to help you grow. So don't be afraid of doing that. There are too many 6'2" skinny dudes who fell into the aesthetic lifestyle and who follow broad diets, who only eat chicken breast and broccolis, and they don't get why they don't grow. You don't grow because you don't give your body enough calories. Eat that piece of cake, eat that piece of pizza. Don't be afraid of doing that. Just know that you're going to have to balance these things because they can be detrimental to your health, because they might have a lot of processed sugar, sodium, all of these things. It's your body. If you want to grow it, you have to sometimes eat some foods that are not the best, but it's up to you, and you have to balance things out. 4. The fourth tip is probably one of the most beneficial for people who have a really tough time eating, especially if you don't have the time throughout the day. An easy way to get calories in is to drink them. Now, I am not saying to buy a weight gainer, because these are garbage. Across the board, it's pure sugar. They dump all of the industrial byproducts that no one wants in there, and they're expensive. Don't buy that. Make your own. Grab the ingredients that you like that are high in calories and make your own drink. You just need a mixer to make that. You can do it with peanut butter, with all types of milks. You can do it with avocado, blueberries, whatever you fancy. Try new stuff and get that down. You can get hundreds and hundreds of calories just drinking them. And I would advise you to either drink it throughout the day, but be careful if you put eggs in it, that it doesn't go bad, or have a big bottle of that right before bed and let your body soak those nutrients during the day. Some people like to do go mad, so they replace the weight gainer with milk, which works tremendously well. That being said, I made a video about go mad. I am really not a big fan of it. I think that between the weight gain and the potential health consequences you're going to have to face, it's just not worth it. There are better ways to gain weight. There are better shakes you can make that are more balanced. You're not going to overdose on all the fat that is in the milk and the proteins that your body just can't synthesize regardless. So I would say make it yourself. put some effort into finding some recipes that you like, and I think that is going to be super beneficial to gain weight. And the last tip I'm going to give you is going to be to take your time. I know it's tempting to bulk up super fast. I know that a ton of programs, especially novice programs, expect you to put hundreds of pounds on your lifts. And if you are a skinny young male, it's going to take bulking up to reach those numbers unless you have very good leverages. Don't fall into that trap. Even if you're a powerlifter, you have time. There is no need to rush. Understand that the amount of lean mass you're going to be able to put on your body is unlimited, but it is going to be, in a sense, cut short by the amount of time you have on this earth and the amount of time you will have with a prime hormonal profile. Truth of the matter is, at some point, you're going to build muscle slower and slower. So there is no point in you just rushing super fast to a body weight to then stall for years and years and years. It's much better to take your time. Even if you are a super tall dude and you're 6'5" with long limbs, take your time. It's not like you're going to be 300 pounds ripped if you're natural. So do a slow bulk, do a slow weight gain. And you're going to find that it's going to be much more beneficial in the long run. And it's going to create a relationship with food that is going to be healthier, because a lot of skinny dudes try they force feed themselves, and then they feel nauseous, they feel like they're full all the time, and they don't understand why they can't gain weight. It's because weight gain takes a long time, and it's much better to stack additional calories every single day rather than have a massive day with 3,000 calories surplus and then stalling. It's the same with people who cut, and they cut 200 calories, 200 calories, 200 calories, and then they do a cheat meal with 2,000, and they don't get why they don't lose weight. It's a game of inches, it's a game of patience. You are skinny now, but you're going to get bigger, don't worry about it. Take my case, I started at 110, and I gained 100 pounds in 10 years. Some people gain the same 100 pounds in 3 years, but what do they look like? What type of muscle mass have they built? Usually it's not the same. Understand also that by slowly gaining weight, you are building a body that is going to be much more able to take the foods that you're giving it and transforming it into muscle. If you just flood it with tons of nutrients and fats and all of that stuff that is beneficial, but it's now too much at once, your body just turns that into fat. And you're not teaching your body how to be more efficient with food. You're just teaching your body how to store fat. So you might even be messing up your body fat distribution because you're so in a hurry to gain the weight. Disregard what YouTube Fitness has to say. You don't have to meet their stupid strength standards. Do what works for you. Take your time. And you're going to find also that gaining muscle and gaining fat together, you're going to have a much more aesthetic look, and you're going to look much bulkier, because the two are going to grow together. So that's pretty much my advice when it comes to anyone who considers themselves a hard gainer. You are not going to be skinny for the rest of your life as long as you work and you actually eat. If you stay skinny, you're not eating enough. And as far as hard gainers go, I'm going to close the video on that. As I said before, it is going to be for you a game that is played in the kitchen, and you're going to find that shoulder workouts might be better for you. Why? Because you don't have the work capacity to go further than that. So when you start, it's a good thing to focus mainly on the diet, because once you've mastered that and you actually reach the point where you need to work out more and more, that is going to be an afterthought, and you can focus on what becomes really important when you start having a big body and you want to really focus on natural bodybuilding, which is the training. So that's going to be it for the day. Any questions in the comments, I will answer too. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.